a while, actually, since we've done this, since we've done the monthly movie marathon. Pre-TIFF. October, that's a fantastic question, was Joker Folie Deux.
Jesus.
Which seems like a lifetime ago, not just for the episode.
Is this actually going to be in the episode?
Yeah, absolutely, okay. And this, so that's just gone. That's just left the zeitgeist. Our episode included.
Joker came and went, and no one really gave a shit.
But you guys listened to the episode. It's one of the high performing episodes, so thank you for that. But
that movie's not getting getting awards.
No. We recorded maybe cinematography. We recorded pre-TIFF, pre-BIFF, and now pre-Japan. Now we're recording a week after we normally would.
Yes.
Because it has been wild. But you know what I say? A wizard is never late, nor is he early. A wizard arrives precisely when he's supposed to. And now, while I know that wizards are not the center of Wicked or the movies we're talking about today, actually they are, because it's called The Wizard of Oz. There we go. Monthly movie marathon.
I really was just like, I'm just going to let you.
Let me run with it.
And go, like, you had a starting point. You knew where you wanted to end.
How do we get to the middle? Yeah. Call me the writer of Joker Folie Deux.
I thought, you know what you could have done then?
Yeah,
how do we get to the middle? We go down the yellow brick road.
Oh, my God, we do. Well, we are going down a figurative yellow brick road.
We're going down 3 of them.
We are, indeed. But, yeah, so this is... apologies, this episode is a week late. It's coming out the day Wicked comes out.
Yeah, it's coming out the day Wicked, but that's fine. That means we're at the height of wickedness.
Pandemonium. Yeah. We're at the height of glickered pandemonium.
Yeah.
Which is Barbenheimer's cousin that we kind of like keep in the cupboard and don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, it's the family secrets.
Personally,
Glickered.
Glad-dicked is better.
Glad-dicked is way better.
It's way better.
Way more marketable, I think. But yes, this is the reason it's a week late is because we have been inundated. With
up the wazoo.
We have done junkets. We're prepping for junkets for movies that are a month away, that are weeks away. We've been doing Australian releases. We've been doing Hollywood releases. It's been crazy. I think since I got back, you got back from TIFF and I got back from Japan.
Have not stopped.
Which is great. We love it. We love doing this. It just unfortunately means monthly movie marathon for the first time in our history is a week late. But we're back. We're here. We're here to talk about...
Talking about look, we're going to say it. Wicked, putting money down... Wicked is making $1 billion.
I'm of the same boat. Now, we will say this. You've seen Wicked.
I have seen Wicked.
I have not seen Wicked yet because I went to the screening we went to have and I had to go. So I just wasn't ready to watch it.
You were not remotely in the right mind frame to see Wicked.
No. I think what we were talking about before about having not stopped since getting back from holiday caught up to me on that Sunday.
And a 2-hour, 40-minute movie surrounded by
passionate Wicked fans
was
not... I was kind of looking... I was a bit overwhelmed. I'll say it. I was very overwhelmed and I kind of just had to get out of there.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing it before release, which is still... So I will be seeing it. But you having seen it...
Yes.
And me just looking at the reactions to it... $1 billion. $1
billion. 100%. It is like... It's the closest thing to what Barbie was last year.
Sure. Yeah. I get that.
Also looking at just like the marketing, like they've
world tour.
They've partnered with everybody.
Yeah.
Their world tour is kind of the same thing where Margot Robbie, every red carpet has been like an event.
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo have been like pushing this film.
They've been yapping. They're doing a lot of press for
this. But it's also a good movie.
Yes, and this is what I'm hearing. Like I'm more excited to see it tonight as of the day of recording this. I'm more excited to see it tonight than I was on Sunday. And I think part of me is like, okay, I'm just ready to get lost in this land. This land that was established, almost 100 years ago.
Almost 100 years ago.
Crazy to think.
Yeah.
There was also trepidation going into Sunday because controversially, as we will talk about the films we are discussing on today's episode of Monthly Movie Marathon, I have some hot takes on The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, you do.
I have some hot takes, but I understand that it is a universally loved film. It is a formative film for so many people in their cinematic upbringing.
Yeah.
And it's a technical wizardry of that film was formative for cinema in general, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But the road, the yellow brick road, so to say, for Wicked has been paved by a couple of movies that have come before it. So Wicked is obviously a prequel.
And obviously a Broadway show that you know.
That my partner has seen 6 times. She loves, not just loves musicals, but I think Wicked is her favorite musical. She is also seeing the film tonight. She's very excited. But very successful Broadway show. Idina Menzel, Kristen Chenoweth. Icons.
Yeah.
Icons.
Pretty much like
of the stage.
Like even though the roles have gone on to be played by other people.
Sure. Bless you.
Every time.
You're allergic to the chemistry we have.
Have gone on to be played by different people. Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth are arguably like when you think of those roles, that's who you think
Same way
of.
you think as Judy Garland as Dorothy, you think of Idina as Elphaba. Is that it, Elphaba?
Elphaba, yeah.
And Kristen. Bless you. You're right. Kristen as Glinda.
Galinda. Who becomes Glinda. There's a reason why we say her name as Galinda.
Okay.
And why she decides to be like, it's just Glinda. You'll find out.
I'll find out tonight. But that yellow brick road was paved by many a film beforehand, but we've picked 3 to talk about on this episode Monthly Movie Marathon. Of course, we're going to talk about The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer. This Wicked leads directly into Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
But they returned to Oz.
They did.
In Return to Oz. And then we'll be talking about another prequel to The Wizard of Oz, which focuses more on the titular character, Oz the Great and Powerful, of which I will say this, one of my favorite ever Between Two Ferns jokes. Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, which was an old Funny or Die comedy sketch show. They had James Franco on, then Zach Galifianakis plays an interviewer who asks, before we cancelled Franco. And he goes, I'm sitting here with James Franco, the star of Ounce, the Great and Powerful. One of my favorite jokes, because it is spelled OZ, which is ounce in empirical measurements.
Yeah.
Hilarious joke. Probably didn't translate it as well from my monotonous delivery. Just go check it out. But so Wicked's going to make $1 billion.
I was just thinking the other... I'm just going to say another Between Two Ferns joke.
Yeah.
I
love that show.
Is when he's interviewing Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
And you're off-putting. He's like, you're off-putting. And she's like, you should be off-putting. You should be off-putting.
Was that a fat joke?
He's like, because you're fat. And he's like, yeah, I got that.
It's so good. I'll also, while we're on the tangent, I'll admit, the Between Two Ferns movie that's on Netflix isn't great as a whole, but some of the best Between Two Ferns interviews are in that
on the
film.
movie. Yeah.
So fucking funny. But we're here for Wicked. We're here for Oz. We're here for wizards and witches and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. So let's crack in. The Wizard of Oz. 1939. Oh my God. So it's 85 years old this year.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And still...
That's crazy, man.
You're crazy, man. Old school. Such a great fucking movie.
We will actually talk about Wizard of Oz. Don't worry.
Don't you worry about that. But 1939, obviously on a technical level, still looks remarkable today. But like I said, it's formative. People love this film. 98% critic score.
Yeah.
89% audience score, which is far lower than I expected.
That surprises me.
That surprises me a bit because despite the hot takes I'll give you, this is still a fresh movie for me, right? But
yes.
When was the first time you saw Wizard of Oz, Pete? Was it in 1939?
I know that we make some age jokes. I'm not that old.
I'm not that fucking old, man.
No.
Yes.
I don't remember how old I was when I first saw it.
Right.
I definitely know I saw it as a very young child.
Okay. It seems like one of those formative movies you watch as a kid, right?
There were a lot of movies that I remember. I feel like I've spoken about where like watching old musicals.
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain, Sound of Music, On the Town, Calamity Jane, all that sort of stuff. Wizard of Oz.
Calamity Jane.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I watched that when I was a kid too, yeah.
Wizard of Oz was just one of those movies. As you said, it was very formative.
Yeah.
I feel like it was one of those ones that I recorded off TV and just had it.
You had the VHS. You could do that back in the day, kids. Those who are listening,
Yeah,
who don't know what that
VHS
is.
was a good time.
It was a great time.
And I don't really remember. Yeah, I don't remember how old I was. I know that I've seen this film
A lot.
a lot.
Do you have it now? Do you still own it?
I
as
don't
well?
own it.
I know there's a 4K.
There is a
coming out,
4K coming out, which is kind of where I'm thinking maybe I'll just buy
though.
that.
Pique the interest. 'Cause I'm assuming that restoration will be incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've like the 4K of Singing in the Rain was stunning.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
I feel like Wizard of Oz would look beautiful
Because you look at the influence the visual palette of Wizard of Oz has had on many a film.
Yeah.
Even up to movies like Pearl, which
Yeah.
is described by director Ty West as his demented Wizard of Oz.
and
it's this Technicolor
It really is.
It absolutely is. She has sex with a scarecrow. I don't remember that in Wizard of Oz, but I love
the
obviously
infamous director's cut.
the stories from
The stories
making of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
Yikes.
maybe that's why it's 89%. Some people are
Maybe
just
some
like,
people have gone,
I can't
yeah.
deal with the fact that
Because
you
obviously Judy Garland was a child, and if you've seen, like, I don't know much about Judy Garland's life outside of like the movie that I saw starring Renee Zellweger,
Judy,
and so off stories that I've heard here and there. No way a child should be treated on the set of any film, but you got like the director Victor Fleming, who obviously there was stories about his directing style and the way he was not necessarily maybe a nice person. The producers on the
stuff,
film.
the stuff to do with the Tin Man's like skin
stuff. Yeah, it was the 30s were a reckless time. In filmmaking, and and obviously. Yeah, the way Judy was treated and how that sort of then spiraled in her life too. It's
awful, all 4 foot of her. She's the tiniest little person.
Oh, she's tiny, but God, she's a sweetheart. And she brings so much innocence and joy and charm to Dorothy. Yeah. She has a beautiful singing voice. Oh my God. Yeah. The songs that are memorable from Wizard of Oz, because I would challenge anyone to not just name Somewhere Over the Rainbow and We're Off to See the Wizard. Name another song from the film, I fucking dare ya. Go on.
Yeah, there's the I don't know the lyric of the
yeah, okay, no, that's really, and there's obviously, we'll get to Munchkin Land, but there's the Munchkin song, which
we represent the lollipop guild.
Anyway, we'll get there.
Clip here, clip there, and the chocolate la la la.
We'll get there. Munchkins, man. But like, there's so many elements of the Wizard of Oz. Like, so Judy is fantastic. I think the story is obviously like withstood the test of time too. How many stories about finding your courage and finding your smartness, your brains? I guess. Wow,
finding your heart, finding your brains.
This whole podcast is me finding my brain. Yeah. It's been going for a long time. But like under the guise of this
monthly movie marathon
Nick
done by the guy that doesn't
have a brain. And telling that in the guise of this fantastical story.
If I only had a brain.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've answered your question.
But there's more. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. But under the guise of this like fantastical situation of being swept up from your sepia filter town, Instagram sepia town, in a tornado and taken to this magical, colorful land where, you go on this journey to find those things about, your courage and whatnot. Yeah. Is tried and tested and is a fantastic like hero's journey storytelling device. Yeah. So there's nothing about that frustrates me. I think it looks beautiful. I think the acting for the most part's pretty all right. There's times where I was watching like, especially The Lion, and he would make a face like, and I was like, stop doing that. I was like, it's even in this movie, it's too much. It's too much. But it was the 30s. It's how they acted back then. I put him there. But before that shit where I'm like, it's too much. But before I completely shit on people's dreams about it, you like the Wizard of Oz, right? Like, and you just kind of like, no, I fucking hate it.
No, it's just funny how you're like saying all of the nice things, and I'm like, there's a massive butt coming from Nick,
big butt, and I cannot lie. But I want Pete to jump in before.
No, like, and I don't know. Like, look, I understand. Yeah, a lot of the acting in the film is like very theatrical.
Super, yeah. But most of it does work for me. Like,
And yeah, it's a beautiful looking film. Like the things that they got away with.
the shot of Dorothy coming out of the house, and then seeing Oz for the first time,
like
is beautiful.
Can you just imagine in 1939?
Oh, in
seeing
the
that?
cinema on the big screen and just seeing that world literally open up. Oh, it's stunning.
Yeah, and look, it could be a case of like nostalgia.
Sure.
Pushes a lot for me with this.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I get
but
that.
I really like this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. And
a lot of people do. I mean,
Yeah.
even when I put my letterbox thing up about it and I saw the amount of 4.5s and 5s and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to hurt some people's
what
feelings."
did you rate it?
3.
Okay.
Still positive, but there was my issue with it is that I think every
sorry.
as a straight white man, and these are my thoughts on the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, like, of course the gay guy would like it. Judy Garland's your fucking patron saint. Ugh.
Oh my god! Too many rainbows for me. Can't wait for that to get clipped out of context. In this day and age,
No, we don't need to wait for someone to do it. You'll just do it.
I'll just do it myself. You'll see it on Instagram on Friday. I think every single scene in this movie goes on far too long.
Okay. Yeah.
This movie could have easily been 60 minutes.
Yeah.
We don't get to the lion until 45 minutes into the film. I know because I stopped and I checked.
Right.
So I was like, where's the fucking lion? And then I stopped and I was like, how are we 45 minutes into this story and we're not even in the past, like the first act, basically.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I just think every scene just goes on a bit too long. Namely, one scene in particular when we're in Munchkin Land.
Oh, no.
I think Munchkin Land is one of the most infuriating things I've ever seen.
Yeah, no. I'll give you that because it does. That scene does go on. Yeah, we get it.
Far too long.
They're little munchkins.
They're munchkins, which have since Munchkins what they are in the film.
Oh my god,
their credit has been renamed since.
But the stories of what the actors would do.
They're out of control.
This is like coke-fueled parties and orgies of like all these
Show me more of that. It didn't translate to screen.
You know what they need to make a movie of?
Yeah.
The making of The Wizard of Oz.
I'm specifically just the Munchkin Land scene,
Yeah.
then if that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Because
Give us like the Disaster Artist, but The Wizard of Oz.
that would be a wild time.
Yeah.
That would be really fun. What are the Lollipop Guild really sucking on? That's what I want to know. Sorry to taint The Wizard of Oz for everyone out there who loves this G-rated family film. But yeah, the Munchkin Land scene goes on for far too long. It's about 3 songs in a row. Everyone doing the most infuriating voices. It's so annoying.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
However, it does have the funniest... Sorry, I shouldn't say the funniest line in the film, but it is the one that I laughed at the hardest, mainly because, like, you literally couldn't say it today.
Okay.
Where basically Glinda is like, I want to get the actual line
is this
up.
the good witch or a bad witch thing?
Yeah. Only bad witch. Oh, you have to be ugly to be a bad witch. And I pissed myself laughing. I was like, she said fucking what? And then it's funny now because we get to Wicked and Idina Menzel and Cynthia Erivo are not unattractive people. In fact, they're both quite beautiful people. And
I will say, having watching Wicked.
Yes.
And I feel like this is something with Wizard of Oz, Return to Oz, Oz the Great and Powerful, and Wicked. As much as they're in the same universe, none of them feel like
the
related stories.
Sure.
I get that Wicked is what's happens, which is how the house falling on the sister's head. The Wicked Witch of the West, Glinda, the good of the North, or is the
She's
East?
of the North, yeah.
I get that
because it's the Wicked Witch of the East that gets killed by the house.
I get that
the barn.
Wicked is sort of showing how she became wicked.
Yes. Yep.
But the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz,
yeah.
her mentality,
very different.
I don't see how.
It's almost like
I don't see how Elphaba becomes that. Like, I get at the end, I will say, like, Wicked shows us how she becomes demonized by society.
Right.
That side of things I get, but just how evil she is in
Have
Wicked.
you seen the Broadway show? I haven't even asked. No. Okay, so you don't know where it's going. Neither do I, by the way.
I actually do know. I know where it's going.
Okay, copy.
I do know where it's going. But the way that Wicked ends and the way that we see Elphaba to how she is in The Wizard of Oz.
Right. It's completely,
I don't see it. Even if Elphaba goes villainous, the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz is fucking nasty.
Oh, she's crazy. She is
like
a psychotic
it's
witch.
a genuinely like
murderous.
terrifying
She's murderous.
performance.
Straight up.
Like she's so great.
It would be terrifying as a child. Same with the flying monkeys. You know what I mean? Like the flying monkey scene is nightmare material.
And we get to see how the flying monkeys become flying monkeys in Wicked.
Interesting.
We get it. But
so
it's just they at the moment, if it's meant to be Wicked Part 1, Wizard of Oz, Wicked Part 2, which is kind of almost what it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not matching up.
Okay.
And that is not a slight on Wicked because I get that Wicked is also kind of
almost like the Wonka treatment, right?
I get
like,
that Wicked is kind of like doing its own story.
Sure.
Okay. I get it. And it's based on a book separate from
it's so funny then
Frank
seeing
Elbum's.
Yes, yeah, right. Okay.
Which is why Elphaba is called Elphaba, because it's Frank Elbum, FLB, Elphaba.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah,
Frank
Elbum.
Yeah. There we go.
Or LFB.
He was a genius of a man,
anyway,
I think. But it's interesting, though. It's interesting that I haven't really heard that brought up about how the two don't connect almost tonally and thematically.
Yeah, just going off of how the characters are presented in
Wicked and the Wizard of Oz.
And the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
But in Wicked, I'm like, I can see how Glinda is like transformed from being quite spoilt to being a genuinely good person. I can see why Elphaba is then basically has wickedness like thrust upon her and decides to kind of just be like, look, if they want a villain, I'll be the villain. I get it, but the way that the Wicked Witch of the West is in Wizard of Oz is so far removed from like what we believe Elphaba to be.
Interesting.
I think it's kind of like Wicked.
She's straight up crazy in the Wizard of Oz.
And I think it's just one of those things where you go, I get that it exists in its own world, but I wouldn't really put them as like a they're companion pieces, but they're not like a cohesive prequel.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm okay with that because I don't see myself watching Wizard of Oz again anytime soon. Because it was too long. Not that it was too long, but I was just like, it was so drawn out.
Yeah.
Because as well, then they get to the wizard. The whole idea is that in this land of Oz, this wizard will be able to give the Scarecrow a brain and to give the Lion his courage and to give the Tin Man his heart and to send Dorothy home. And then they get to Oz and he's like, what's up? You got to kill the witch for me if you want me to do shit. And there's only like 20 minutes of the movie left. So it's taken so long to get to there.
Yeah.
That to me makes more sense for them to get there in like the end of the first act or have that be the second act. Now we've got to go find the witch. It's just the story is so all over the place.
Yeah.
And then they come back and then obviously you find out the wizard is a sham. He's a magician who's like using illusions and tricks. But he's like, but you had courage already. And you had brains. Here's a diploma of smartness.
Which is funny because like it's meant to be such a big reveal in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Whereas in Wicked, it's kind of like
you kind of know.
You kind of know.
Well,
so,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting to see like the wizard's his intentions when you know what's happening in Wicked.
Okay.
So in that regard, I guess it's like a good companion piece because you realize people's
flaws.
But you just sort of see like, okay, this is why Oz is the way he is and why he's so determined to get the Wicked Witch and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, I don't disagree with the fact that the scenes do linger longer than they should.
Yeah. I just think the structure of the movie isn't great.
But I'm also of someone who's like, because I've just seen it so many times.
See, that's the difference between, I've probably literally only seen Wizard of Oz maybe 3 times.
And you've probably seen it whilst you were quite
I was
Like-
quite young. I don't think I'd watched Wizard of Oz for maybe 20 years before the other day.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it just has never held a place
No, that
in
yeah,
my
yeah,
heart.
yeah. But
because
I mean,
I'm
look,
the Tin Man, I did not have one.
But I guess like that's probably something where the age difference and the movies we watched growing up, that's probably the first time that it's probably really been like a major difference for us.
Yeah, actually, good point. Actually,
because
yeah.
like
we did watch a lot of the same shit.
We watched a lot of the same shit, and we had the same.
And this one's like pretty iconic.
and we mostly had the same reaction to stuff.
Very true.
This is probably one where it's like maybe just because of it was just one movie that I just had watched
repeat,
a lot.
Yeah, you were into the magic of it.
I can absolutely like I'm not fighting you on
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
that you feel about it, but I'm
do
probably
it.
someone
Do
who's
it, find me.
But I'm someone who's like
You
I can probably
forgive
forgive
that.
a lot of
Yeah,
it.
for
Yeah.
sure. No, I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that. And I absolutely do that as well with
Yeah.
other movies. I just think, mainly because this one does not hold that nostalgic place in
Yeah,
my heart.
yeah.
I'm going to be less inclined to forgive it because, at the end of the day, like I watched it the other day and I was like, I'm bored.
yeah, okay.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And Judy Garland is fantastic. But I'm just like, I'm fucking bored.
Yeah, no.
So, it's just not one that I think, will hold up for me. It's like, I'm not going to show my kids The Wizard of Oz, but I will show them Return to Oz. No, I won't. Because this movie is fucking wild. This is the darkest kids film I've ever seen.
Well, this is a movie
potentially.
that again I saw as a kid growing up
Yeah.
and remember watching it as a kid a few times and just being like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah, this was never really on my, and not even as someone who didn't watch Wizard of Oz, but I didn't even really know this movie existed until recently.
Yeah, and then
Which is
I
crazy.
was like, I hadn't seen it in a very long time.
Yeah.
And before we had Disney Plus, so showing my age there, I found Return to Oz on DVD
Oh shit.
and was like,
Actually, yeah, because
Fuck yeah, gonna buy it.
Yeah, it's been released on all formats. On 4K.
so I bought it on DVD. I want to actually buy it
on
on
4K.
Blu-ray or 4K.
Okay.
But rewatching it, I was like, why did our parents let us watch this?
It's dark.
This is a dark, and it's still rated G.
I don't know how it's rated G because it's fucking terrifying. This movie, Return to Oz.
This is very like in that that kind of Dark Crystal Labyrinth, never-ending story
It is
kind
so
of thing.
funny you
Where
say
it's,
that. I watched this with Rhiannon, and she said, "Oh my god, this absolutely came out during the Labyrinth era,
Yeah.
the Dark Crystal
Yeah,
era,
yeah.
where you were kind of like." I even put movies like Back to the Future and The Goonies in there, where they're
Yeah.
they're aimed towards families, but they're kind of not.
They're kinda not.
Actually pretty fucked
like
up
this
in many
is
regards.
we'll just put severed heads in a.
What about the TikToks?
Yeah.
TikTok's the robot. The fucking Wheelers.
Wheelers.
The Wheelers are terrifying.
Yeah.
What about the fact, before I get to that, no, I'll say it now. What about the fact that they try and fucking electrocute her brain at the beginning? They
Yeah.
try and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest her.
Because basically
Because they're like, "You're crazy. Oz doesn't exist."
You'll talk. Are you going to give the
yeah, I'll
synopsis?
run it down. Yeah. So 1985, Return to Oz comes out, 58% critic score,
yeah,
71% audience score.
yeah. I actually can see that.
They love it. And it's an unofficial sequel to The Wizard of Oz,
Yes.
but it's still based on
It's still based on
L. Frank Baum's
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
right? Some saying this is one of the most the closest adaptation.
Faithful?
Yeah, most
Yeah.
faithful adaptation of
That's
some
the
of his
thing.
work.
All of these kids' books, they're actually really all quite dark.
Yeah,
Like
very
Roald
dark.
Dahl stuff is
Yeah.
super fucked up.
Mainly the Ozma of Oz, which came out in 1907. And we got Fairuza Balk
Yes,
in the role of Dorothy. But yeah, Dorothy's
she's really She's what 8 or 9 in this?
yeah, so it's a couple of years after.
It's
Oh, no,
meant to
she's
be-
a bit older, isn't
It's
she?
meant to be a couple of years later, but I feel
She's
like
still quite young.
she's really young, and obviously because Judy Garland was probably
I think she
old.
was in her late teens. when
Yeah,
they
so and
made
Fairuza
Wizard
Balk
of
is
Oz.
a genuinely a child in this.
But the whole idea is that it's a couple of years after Dorothy's first been to Oz and she starts seeing things about Oz
Yeah.
again and having dreams about it. And rather than being like, oh, it wasn't real, her parents are like,
take her to like an insane asylum.
You're going to the crazy bin and we're going to fucking electrocute your brain. We're going to give you a lobotomy. And she escapes with another child patient of the mental asylum and they Shawshank themselves into a river. And Dorothy wakes up in Oz once more, but Oz is now this fucking waste. It's Mad Max.
Yeah.
It's a Mad Max wasteland with wheelers and they're terrifying.
Yeah.
They're fucking
You should call this Dorothy, a Mad Max saga.
They really fucking should. And then TikTok, this robot comes out of nowhere and he's beating up wheelers and I mean it's
and then there's the queen who like changes her face appearance by like literally taking her head off.
Yeah.
And in like her closet has her head. And it's like severed heads, and she. I just
love
puts
that. That's
them,
the nurse though, which is great. Which is like the.
And she's like played by this
parallel.
actress who's like has genuine evil face,
resting evil face.
Yes.
100%. Yes.
But yeah, watching this, I was like, why?
And then
I can understand why our parents would be like, return to Oz, put them in a room, let them watch it. And we'll
yeah,
get
it's
out
just
of
the
here.
Wizard of Oz too. And then
But
you're
I was
like,
like,
bam, this is
so messed up.
traumatic shit for a child.
I would love this to be like remade.
Imagine, I would give this to Burton. Give it to Timmy. Let Tim fuck it up a little bit, especially after Beetlejuice, where he kind of went back into that darker territory.
Yeah.
Let him fuck around in this world for a bit. That's all I've said.
I mean, again, it could just be because
this is my first time seeing it too.
Right.
Like I said, I only heard of it recently.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there going like, I would not show this to a child at all. But it's got like a dedicated fan base.
I think it's in the last, I definitely think in the last like 10 years, it's like really like
resurfaced
become
again.
like one of those like misunderstood sort of
the Wicked
movies.
heads have come out and been like,
it'd be very interesting to see how like people that see Wicked and are like, oh my God, it's so like light and emotional and like Ariana Grande, and then like you're like,
Return to Oz is like, watch everything and anything try and kill Dorothy for
which
an
will
hour,
like
50
absolutely
minutes.
break your fucking spirit.
It is just dark. It's just tonally dark. It's visually dark. The difference as well, and the reason I think again, this one didn't work for me, is that this fantastical land that obviously I've seen in the trailers of Wicked, but that is so apparent, these beautiful sets, these Technicolor sets from Wizard of Oz, they've opted to now shoot like on location in Return to Oz. It's outside. It's in the real world. Oz is not the real world.
Yeah.
So you've got these like especially when we first see the Wheelers is the scene that stuck out to me the most. Even actually when she finds remnants of the yellow brick road, it's like, no, I feel like you're just filming like, I used to live in a house that like backed onto a creek area. I'm like, you just could have just been filming out there.
Yeah.
That's not Oz. That's a creek. Like, so when she goes to this dilapidated part of Oz and the Wheelers come out and it's just like dudes on stilts on roller skates, it's still off-putting because it's terrifying, but I did not feel any of the magic.
It's
that the Wizard of Oz at least had.
It's the budget of Oz. Like it's the budget version.
Oh, it's budget. It's Oz from Temu.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's Wizard of Oz on Tubi.
It was $28 million budget.
Shit.
Only made $11 million in the US.
Yeah, it did not.
It was a critical failure.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things in this film that stands out is the fact that the ruby slippers are back, which is actually not part of L. Frank Baum's books.
Right.
They were glass slippers, I believe, or like sparkling slippers still, but the red one were made famous by the movie, The Wizard of Oz.
And the glass slippers plays into Wicked.
Interesting.
Yeah. When you see what certain characters...
It's all beginning to
when
connect.
You're like, oh, I see what's happening here.
But then Return to Oz wasn't the first sequel we'd had. There'd been animated films about the Wizard of Oz, but this was obviously being the first live action one. I was very interested in looking back, but it just strikes me as like there was nothing about this movie that I think recaptured the magic that Wizard of Oz at least had. But it's like in no way, I'm sure if it's a faithful adaptation to Baum's books, yeah, sure, I get it. But if you're making it like an unofficial sequel if you're connecting it at least to the Wizard of Oz, like there's some things I feel like you have to recapture. And Walter Murch, who wrote the screenplay and directed it, did not do that. I'm just going to see what else this guy's done. So he's a sound guy. He's done sound mixing and stuff. He did sound mixing on The Godfather, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Oh, he directed Ghost? No, sorry, that's editor. Here we go, director. He edited Ghost, by the way.
All right,
So,
okay.
Return to Oz was his feature film directorial debut, and you may be shocked to know he's not directed a film since. So,
Has he kept working in sound and like editing and stuff?
Yeah, yes, and
Is he still alive?
He is still alive. He's 81. 3-time Academy Award winner for his sound work, by the way, which is absolutely crazy. And the last project he worked on, won this year. He was a sound. He did Tomorrowland, did the 2010 The Wolfman. He's like edited, done sound for Jarhead. So he's great at what he does.
Okay.
Unless I think he's directing and writing, but I don't think it's necessarily a fault of his. I just don't think tonally, if you're going to watch The Wizard of Oz and if you're going to watch Wicked, based on all accounts that I'm getting from Pete here, I don't think these are two movies you're going to fucking really splice together that well. But interested that you want to get it. I guess
I think it's just it was a movie I grew up with.
Yeah.
It's not like a particularly fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it's part of a necessity of physical media, because I feel like
you never know when this movie's just going to get ripped away.
Things are dying, and like anything Disney, we need to,
especially in Australia, because we still don't have a physical media distributor for Disney at the moment, even though there's rumors of one. Yeah. We still don't have it yet. So
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was the last thing that they released
on physical media here in Australia. And it
crazy when you consider like, you just made like $1 billion with Deadpool and Wolverine. You don't want to put that on anything? Okay, cool.
Gonna pay Sean Levy.
That's a whole other conversation.
I did see actually it's something that kind of speaks to, and I have nothing against Sean Levy as a director. By the way,
it's directed
by. Yeah. So you're like the first Deadpool where it's like directed by an asshat or something. Yeah. Deadpool 2 directed by one of the guys who killed John Wick's dog.
Yeah.
And then number 3 directed by Sean Levy, and you kind of go, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Disney-fied. But yeah, anyway, that's
it.
All that.
I have ordered a 4K version of Deadpool Wolverine.
Speaking of Disney-fied, the third and final film we will be talking about on this wickedly good episode of the Monthly Movie Marathon.
Ironic that it's got Great and Powerful in the title, but anyway.
Ironic that it's got Great and Powerful. Well, it's Ounce the Great and Powerful. Oz the Great and Powerful, which came out in 2013. Mm-hmm. 56% critic score, 56% audience score.
There you go.
Probably higher than I thought it would be. Absolutely was aware of this film. Sam Raimi directed this.
Sam Raimi.
Love Sam Raimi. I think what he did, obviously the Spider-Man trilogy is great. His horror background
Evil
leading
Dead.
into that. Obviously, Evil Dead's fantastic.
Drag Me to Hell.
Fucking brilliant movie. But also...
Even though now we've got to be disappointed because Alison Lohman's a Trump supporter.
I did see that actually, yeah. Well, we can still appreciate it.
She ends up in hell, so it's okay.
2008, Alison Lohman, I'm okay with you. Even if you maybe you were a Republican back then too. But also loved what he did with Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
If we're looking at his more recent works,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of what Sam Raimi did there. So... And obviously not being, as established already, not being a great Wizard of Oz fan, had never seen this film. Obviously was completely aware that it was around. I was working at the video store when this came out. Wow. I remember the ads.
Yeah.
It was the movie of the month when it came out. There was some fucking pumped up shit about it. Just never saw it. Wow. Never saw Ounce the Great and Powerful. I'm assuming you saw this in the cinema?
I saw this at the preview screening.
And how was that? What was the vibe?
2013, I was reviewing. I don't remember what the vibe was, but I went into this with optimism.
Sure.
And I came out of it. Look, I didn't hate this movie.
Okay.
But there were obviously things that I was like, that could have been better.
Yep.
And two of its glaring issues are like two of the main reasons in the film. Well, the two of the main characters.
Probably the two things that got this movie financed in 2013.
So it has a great, has a great cast.
Huge cast.
Zach Braff.
Yep.
Michelle Williams.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz.
A very young Joey King, by the way.
Yeah. Tony Cox.
Love Tony Cox. Big
Mila
fan of Tony Cox.
Kunis and Mr. James Franco.
James Franco, the artist formerly known as someone we really liked until he became a sex pest.
Michelle Williams as Glinda. Fucking perfect casting.
Brilliant casting.
Is she Glinda? Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant
Rachel
casting.
Weisz as Evanora, I think.
I believe so, yes.
Again, Rachel Weisz, Michelle Williams. They're
the Wicked Witch of the East.
They're just two fantastic actresses.
They actually bring so much substance to the film.
They also know what kind of movie they're in.
Which are directed by Sam Raimi, family film, set in the world of Wizard of Oz. You get that from Sam Raimi's point of view. It's full of magical creatures. Even though it is a significantly heavy CGI film, like this
CGI.
whole movie was filmed on a blue screen,
and this
Absolutely.
is like, and I remember this was like
in the 3D
era, and where they were really like making the 3D, not just like things being thrown at you, but like we'll immerse you in it.
Yeah.
And I still think the only apart from Avatar, the only kind of post-Avatar movies that I feel like did 3D immersion well were the first Avengers.
Yep.
And Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
On a big screen with
Prometheus.
that.
I'll give The Martian that too, actually. The Martian did look great in 3D as well. I saw it in 3D, yeah.
Oz the Great and Powerful, yes, obviously it's designed for 3D.
But
and it did, I remember watching it in 3D and I was like, yeah, it was cool because of when it goes into color. And it does the same thing. It starts off in black and white, moves to color. And Michelle Williams is playing Glinda with the right kind of airiness, but also a sense of strength.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz is full villainous, enjoying herself immensely.
Yes.
James Franco and Mila Kunis in 2013. Yes, they're big stars. James Franco
they're
is
the
coming.
hot people of the.
James Franco is coming off all of his, Seth Rogen collaborations. Mila Kunis is she's just had Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Black Swan, Ted. She's on a roll.
Was she Friends with Benefits as well?
Which was that? That might have been before.
I think
I think that was.
2011.
I think that was before. Yeah. So she's hot commodity.
Yep.
Mila Kunis and James Franco.
Yeah.
Are the biggest problems with this movie.
They have firstly no chemistry.
Zero.
Secondly, they are taking this way too seriously.
Mila Kunis.
Way too seriously.
As much as she's got this very I feel like she's got kind of a Hollywood face that works for this.
Yeah.
I don't know, her voice. It's she's far too modern for this movie.
Oh god, yeah. There's nothing I get. So she plays this naive witch. What's her name again in this movie? Theodora. Which, spoiler alert, she ends up becoming the Wicked Witch of the West. So she ends up becoming Elphaba.
Yeah, this is very much
this is another detached story. Because obviously Evanora is the Great and Powerful. This is about the wizard. How he became
because Evanora is not the name of her sister either. Yeah.
So it's very much its own thing, inspired by.
I mean, they are sisters in the movie.
Yes, yeah, but
and
they think Glinda's evil in this. Glinda is portrayed as the bad.
Glinda is portrayed as the bad one. Obviously,
she calls people ugly.
Also, we know that she's not. And a lot of the film, you're pretty much going, oh.
When are you going to find out?
But Rachel Weisz seems like the most obvious person to be the Wicked Witch because she's evil, kind of from the get-go.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember the trailers for this never showed Mila Kunis in any kind of villain setup.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I remember the trailer, and it was kind of cool because you were like, oh, I wonder who the Wicked Witch is. It just showed the shot of the hand coming
thing. Yeah.
And everyone was
it's actually a great shot in the film.
It's a great shot. And everyone was like, well, it's not Michelle Williams. And they were like, it's too obvious if it's Rachel Weisz. So then there started being all this discourse of oh, maybe Mila Kunis is actually. Yeah. So when you hear all that and you go into the film, you're like, I feel like I need to watch this character in a different mindset now.
Interesting, because I didn't know that going in.
Yeah.
But I had no idea.
Mila Kunis becomes the Wicked Witch because she's she feels betrayed and it's her Evanora is she's just embrace embrace your villainy sort of thing. And she does.
Yeah.
And then Mila Kunis just goes like really campy. And it's like, which
she
would
really inhabits like that sentimentality of the original Wicked
and
Witch,
it's like that's
Wicked Witch of the West.
fine, but
it's
like
so
it doesn't.
different.
But it doesn't work in
This
the
movie.
movie that we've seen.
No.
Even though this movie is very heightened and separate from reality.
It brings back so much of the magic that Return of Oz missed.
But like Rachel Weisz has the right tonal balance.
Michelle Williams has the right
Mila
tonal balance.
Kunis is just like once she's evil, it's just like
James Franco.
This is a
I'm convinced didn't open his eyes for the entire film.
Well, funnily, apparently the original choice for Oz,
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr.
Makes far more sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had to see him as Doolittle instead.
Fuck
Yeah, right.
that's right.
Yeah, so a little wild with that. He finally got to play his timey character, but it was not.
And that was
the
like
way.
a passion project for him as well. It's
Yeah, weird. But yeah, so it's funny because what this movie does visually to bring back the magic, and then with Rachel Weisz and Michelle Williams, and I was like Zach Braff gets it as the monkey. I like that voice.
Joey King as like the little porcelain girl.
porce- yeah,
it's
yeah.
actually like
really
incredible.
Yeah, great animation.
Great animation.
Fantastic animation.
And it's really quite emotional when she's like
Actually, it is, yeah.
like lost her whole like it's
That's why
like
there's parts of this movie that are quite
like
good.
I like that when they're going to sort of each world in Oz, everything
Yeah.
like it's like the whole town is porcelain. Like I think it's like it's got some really
I think-
inventive ideas.
Yeah, and I think what it does for expanding the world of Oz for the cinema, for
Yeah.
the movie versions, it actually does quite a fair bit. And I think Sam Raimi is a great choice to direct.
And like
for
it
that reason.
does feel like they're almost like, you want a sequel to this.
Because big time. Disney were not making
there's-
one-off films.
There's been talk of a sequel for like years.
It's not coming.
It's never happening
not
now. It's
happening.
not happening now.
No. But then when your two leads are the reason the movie doesn't work and you have to spend a lot of time with them, it's just a tougher watch than it needs to be. I'm not saying the story of this was fantastic either, but it was enough for me to be like, all right, I see what you're trying to do. I see the world that you're trying to expand on. But yeah, I'm just
And
like,
like,
unless you had more charisma,
Yeah.
fuck, this is a tough
And I feel like
watch.
even if everything was the exact same, the script was the exact same, I just feel like Robert Downey Jr. and I don't know who else you could have gotten instead of Mila Kunis, but I just feel like you would have felt the film. You would have felt like I'm okay to go on this journey,
with them. Yeah, for
I'm just
sure.
trying to think who could.
In 2013,
2013.
I don't know. 2013.
Like you could get someone, I don't know, like I'm just thinking of like the people that were in like The Huntsman. Like Charlize Theron, Emily Blunt, Jessica Chastain. I could see Chastain or Blunt doing this.
Chastain doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, this movie's actually not inherently bad, but I can see why people reacted to it the way they did. Because
Although this made bank though.
made bank, as most of these Disney films do. Like we think about Alice in Wonderland, the same came out around the same time. $215 million budget, $493 million at the box office.
Oh, it actually didn't make as much as I thought it
I
did.
think that, let me see.
Because like
Reception.
215, 493.
Oh, no, yeah. 234 in the US, 258 for the 493.
Oh, wow. So
in
234
total.
in the States. That's a lot of money.
13th highest grossing film of 2013.
Wow.
Topped the box office in its opening weekend, $149 million weekend. Opening weekend, which is wild. That's
In the
huge
States.
In the States.
That's crazy that it made 149 overall. It made 234.
Yeah, so I
that
think
was like
it-
those
it-
second week drops are
huge.
hard.
I think because I just don't think this resonated with people as well.
No, this
to be
I will
honest.
admit this had great. This had great.
Oh, it was
advertising.
everywhere. I
the
remember
trailers
it.
for
Yeah.
this, yeah.
I fully
And
remember
I think but I don't remember at the screening what the vibe was like. But I remember coming out of it going, that wasn't as like I didn't know what I was expecting,
Right.
but I was also like I actually had fun. But I just remember thinking, man, Franco and Kunis. I was like, just if you had two other actors, this could have been entirely
Something different, yeah.
different. Yeah, because Weiss and Williams are like they're really a good time here.
Yeah.
Um,
They understood the assignment. I think they really also got what Sam Raimi was doing,
Yeah.
which is vibrantly expanding this world. Like some of the CGI is very already dated for 2013. But like we said, I think what he just tries to do with expanding the world and making Oz far bigger than what we've seen it before is ambitious, but I think it works for this story. It's a journey. It's a journey of a film. It's a journey story. Yeah. So I appreciate that at least. But yeah, it's fucking tough sitting with Franco and Kunis for that whole fucking movie.
And like, they're not bad. Like Kunis is like all the like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, she's great. Black Swan, she's really fucking good. Friends with Benefits, her and Timberlake, the chemistry is
Franco,
insane.
Disaster Artist.
Franco in like Pineapple Express,
brilliant. Like they're great.
127 hours.
Yeah, they just
like
didn't.
This just didn't
get this.
They just this world just does
which
not
affects it a lot more than I think it should have. But like out of the three we watched, it's probably like in the middle there for me personally.
Right. Okay.
Return to Oz down the bottom. Wizard of Oz is still number one.
Right.
For sure. Even though I apparently hated it, right? Apparently I fucking hate the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
So, but no, interesting. But then that all roads lead to Wicked, where we are now.
Yeah.
Part 1, a 2 hour and 40-minute part 1, which is off-putting for me, but apparently not for everyone who's very excited for this film.
Yeah.
It's the only movie Rhiannon's been excited for all year.
Yeah, okay.
Probably would have been the only one she would have seen if I didn't force her to come to other screenings.
Yeah, okay.
But, I mean, the reception to it's already been phenomenal. People are calling it one of the best musical adaptations of all time. Even people who I thought would have probably more trepidation going into it have walked out going like, no, it's actually really fucking brilliant. You loved it. 4.5 stars out of 5.
4.5 stars, yeah.
Reviews up on the AU review at the moment. Mine will be up soon.
It's on Rotten Tomatoes as well.
93% fresh.
93% with audience, 99 for audience.
Crazy, right?
And look, and
they've already filmed part 2.
I've already filmed part 2, so that's kind of nice. And I will say, like, there's been a lot of like chatter around Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande and just how good their performances actually are. And it's like, are we all just being, are we just hyping shit
it up too much?
Like, nah. I was like, Ariana Grande, I was like, I said this to her, I was like, it's the Oscar feels like it could be hers. And it's like, and it's a very comedic theatrical performance, but she plays it well. Like she's really, really, really funny. Okay. And it's, like, it'll be interesting to see how you feel because, 2 hours 40, that's a long time for one half of a story.
That's where I'm going like,
and there are scenes and characters that I'm like, you could probably exercise a bit, but watching it, I was never like,
overtly bored.
And I never felt like, oh, you could have gotten rid of that entirely. Yeah. Like there never seems, there's never anything that I was like,
it's interesting.
Yeah. Like with like Joker, we were saying, you could get rid of Lady Gaga.
Oh, absolutely. And it'd be a very similar movie. Because all you need to do is have the world's response to what Arthur Fleck does be that driving
and then
motivation.
have it be the
but you make it a love story with Harley.
Yeah.
Harley
but
Quinn,
then you just have it
as
the court case. Like that's what that movie should have been.
That was the best part of that movie. But it took so long to get there and then it was over before we knew it.
But yeah, this I was like, no, this all kind of checks out. But I'm seeing it again on Friday.
I think it's going to have legs. I agree. I sense a billion.
Because we were saying, like, it opens this week in the States alongside Gladiator 2. Obviously, we've been very lucky that Gladiator 2 came out a week prior.
Which was fun. Gladiator 2 was fun.
Apart from, like, Moana 2.
Oh, Wicked's the movie of the year. I was like, sure.
Wicked's
what else has made $1 billion this year? Inside Out 2 made $1 billion.
Inside Out 2 did, and Deadpool Wolverine.
That's it.
Like, that's it.
So Wicked's bound to make $1 billion and be on the big hitters list.
I think so.
If it becomes the highest grossing film of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. But the only thing it's got against it is its later the year run. Like once December 31st hits, that's how much money it's made. This year. Yeah. They'll do a total gross for sure, but like it'll be. But like it'll be playing into January for sure.
And like I've already seen like cinemas like we're putting on sing-along screenings, which I do not want to go to any of those.
No, that's not my vibe. But
like I can see I can see it.
Just don't sing in the normal screenings.
I can see it being that. I can then, like obviously, and then I feel like it'll have a big, home release. I don't think we're going to see this on digital. I think this will be like Barbie, where it'll
just keep pushing back,
keep pushing back because they'll want to keep. And look, this is a big screen movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's the event. It's an event. It's a spectacle.
And then if before the year's up, we'll have Golden Globe nominations out. Mm-hmm. I fully expect this will be nominated for Best Musical Comedy. I think Cynthia Erivo will get a nomination for Best Actress in a Musical Comedy, and I think Ariana will get a Best Supporting Actress
nomination across the board. Yeah.
But there's no original song.
Okay.
Which a lot of people were surprised at. Maybe the sequel will get an original song from the two of them.
Sure.
Either added in or like an end credit scene or something. End credit title sequence.
Yeah.
But I feel like those will be mainly the three. John M. Chu. No, maybe not. Just because directors usually not.
And directors pretty packed.
And usually it's not split up in categories.
No, they just do.
So I think those three are probably
shoe-ins at the moment.
And then I think at the Oscars,
then you look at things like costume design, art direction.
I feel like it'll definitely be nominated for costume. Things, and I think at the Oscars, whether it'll get a best film and a best actress, I'm not sure. Okay. I feel
there is talk for film at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it getting in for film mainly because obviously film is like 10 options.
Yeah, that's true.
Best actress is very stacked this year, and it's not any slight against Cynthia Erivo because she is really good.
Yeah, but she's already
actress is like
she's already working agaast Mikey Madison. She's already working against Angelina Jolie, Demi Moore,
Nicole Kidman, Demi Moore.
Maybe she will fit in there.
There's
probably heaps we're forgetting already,
but I feel like Ariana's kind of set for a nomination. Possible win. But yeah, as we were saying, like Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, like maybe Margaret Qualley gets in for Substance.
Maybe, yeah.
There is also Hard Truths from Mike Leigh.
Oh, yes.
Which I know is sort of getting...
It's getting a lot of chat at the moment, actually. Currently I have to go check that out at the British Film Fest.
There is, but I feel like Ariana just feels like the most is like their biggest win.
It's the big bet for that. Yeah, for sure. Interesting.
But I fully expect this film to just be like an absolute juggernaut. It's this year's Barbie, 100%.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm more excited to see it now based on that. And obviously I'm just in a better mood than I was a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So I was a little bitch boy on that Sunday. That was not fun for anyone. Yeah. But you know what?
Like I was kind of like, I don't want to be around all these people. And I ended up being like...
And you say it and then watch it.
And I say it and I walked out and was like, that was really fucking good.
Yeah. So. Sometimes that's tough. That is tough when you're in especially when you watch as many movies as Pete and I do.
Yeah.
Especially for a whole lot of different reasons, like whether it's reviews or interviews or anything else.
Yeah.
And then you've kind of just got to sit in a room.
On a Sunday afternoon.
When that's usually the time where you get to relax.
Unwind at 2 hours 40.
Yeah, just wasn't the day for me.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is. And it ended up being a good time.
I'm glad. Yeah. Well, your review currently up on the AE review with many things coming out. Oh, that soon. No Stream reviews up. My review will be up on nicksflicksfix.
Yeah.
By the time this goes up, it'll be up. And we've got so much shit coming up.
So much stuff.
We have some cool stuff that we've already done.
We've done one
of the coolest junkets of the year, probably.
Well, yeah,
for one of the best movies of the year, but we are lips sealed on that one. We'll be able to talk about that.
We've done some few local interview, like we did one for Strange Creatures.
Yeah, which was
really
awesome,
great.
which had a fun little connection to.
Daniel Reisinger for Ann Mrs. was fucking incredible.
That was a really fun chat.
I did two today, one of them for Miss Lucy Lawless. What a great time that was. And we've got one coming up tonight at the time of this recording.
Yes, yeah, we've got another junket
and then we've got possibly one coming up for the day that this episode comes to air. We might be talking to people.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Can't stop.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Yeah. But you can find all of that at the AU review
and Novastream Network and nicksflicksfix.
But until next month, which this is what we'll be doing before I sign off.
Yeah.
The last monthly movie marathon of the year, not including our recap special. The recap special will still be coming at the end of December, but we have one more month.
Are we doing questions for the recap?
We will be doing that. Yeah. So there'll be a call to action. Keep an eye out on our Instagrams for that. but that'll be later in December. But we have one more real normal episode to do. And there is a movie coming out in December that feels like it's not coming out to a lot of fanfare. But when you look at the stats, the movies that have preceded it are box office juggernauts.
I've completely forgotten what
making billions of dollars at the box office, despite the controversies about the real life adaptation not being a real life adaptation and sucking all of the soul out of the story. In December, Mufasa
Oh my God.
is coming out. And we will be watching the animated The Lion King and the animated The Lion King. Which will, I think, prove to be a very interesting discussion because one of those, I think, is the best animated film of all time, or one of.
And one of them
was the most heart-wrenching animated films I've ever had to sit through.
Yeah.
All leading up to Mufasa, which the only thing that's exciting to me about that is the fact that Barry Jenkins is directing.
Yeah.
And I love Barry Jenkins.
Yeah.
So we will be doing a Lion King recap before Mufasa comes out.
I completely forgot what we were doing, and all of those clues, I was like, what the fuck are we watching?
Not Craven the Hunter.
No. Unfortunately,
Unfortunately
I
not.
don't get to see Aaron Taylor Johnson's
No.
abs.
But yes, until that, and then the recap to follow, we have one thing to say to you for the first time in a long time, Pete. Bye!